Okay, good morning everyone, and we start our civil law lecture series with one of the most fundamental subjects in civil law, which is obligations and contracts. If you look at the syllabus, or sorry, the curriculum rather, for the Juris Doctor degree, you will see that oblicon is a prerequisite for most other civil law subjects because this is one of the fundamental subjects, no? Kung walang special rule na mag-a-apply in, let's say, uh, contract of sale, then the rules in oblicon will apply. Okay, so to start, we look at Article 1156. An obligation is a juridical necessity to give, to do, or not to do. The most important phrase here, no, is that an obligation is a juridical necessity. What do we mean when we say that an obligation is a juridical necessity? It means that in case of non-compliance, the courts of justice may be called upon to compel performance. In fact, it is this phrase, juridical necessity, that separates a legal obligation from a normal obligation, no? Let's say you tell your kumare, o kumare, mag-meet tayo ng 10 o'clock bukas, o, di ba? Tapos, 10:01 na hindi ka pa dumadating. Can your kumare file a case against you for being late? Of course not, no? Kasi walang juridical necessity doon. Later, we'll talk about the sources of an obligation, no? Or whether that promise to arrive at 10 a.m. is already considered a contract, which it is not, no? So, this juridical necessity is the element, no, that separates a legal obligation from an ordinary one, no, this juridical necessity. And what comprises or what are the kinds of an obligation? So as you can see dito naman sa last part, the kinds of an obligation is you can give, you can do, or you cannot do something, 'di ba? It is to give, to do, or not to do. That being said, let's go to the essential requisites of an obligation. So, there are four. The first one is the juridical or legal tie. Yung sabi natin kanina, that which binds the parties to the obligation. And kapag hindi yun nasunod, the courts may be called upon to compel performance. The second is the object or what we call the prestation. It is the subject matter of the obligation which consists in giving, doing, or not doing. Ano ba yung ibibigay mo? Ano yung gagawin mo? Or ano yung hindi mo gagawin? Right? So, the third essential requisite of an obligation is the passive subject or what we call the debtor or the obligor. This is the person from whom the prestation is demandable. And the fourth, the active subject is called the creditor or obligee. He or she is the person who has the right to demand the prestation. So let's give an example. So halimbawa, A borrowed 2,000 pesos from B, promising to pay B after 1 year. If on due date, A does not pay upon demand by B, B may file the proper action in court for the recovery of the debt. So, umutang si A kay B ng 2,000. Sabi niya, babayaran niya. No? So, in that example, the juridical tie is the contract between A and B. Kasi humiram si A kay B ng 2,000. At nangangako siya na magbabayad after 1 year. The object or prestation is the giving of 2,000 pesos or the lending of 2,000 pesos, no? Nababayaran pabalik, right? And then the passive subject or the debtor is A because siya yung may obligation eventually na magbayad ng kanyang utang. And the active subject, the creditor is B dahil si B ang creditor or obligee na dapat maningil ng utang. B has the right to demand the prestation. So in this example, although it's a contract, the obligation is for A to pay the loan after 1 year. Okay? So, what are the different kinds of obligation? Here, we have, well, according to the prestation, we have real or personal. When the prestation involved is to give a thing, di ba tatlo yon? To give, to do, or not to do. So, kung the prestation falls under the first kind, which is to give, it is called a real obligation. Kasi kailangan mo mag-deliver. When we say to give, we mean kailangan may ibigay na isang bagay. Right? And when we consider it personal, no, a personal obligation involves a prestation, yung pangalawa at pangatlong klase naman, which is to do or not to do. In which case, it can be either a positive personal obligation, which is the obligation to do, or a negative personal obligation, which is the obligation not to do. May bawal kang gawin. Okay? So, now we go to the sources of obligation as contained in Article 1157. Here it says, obligations arise from law, contracts, quasi-contracts, acts or omissions punished by law or what we call crimes or delicts. And the fifth one is quasi-delicts. So para mabilis, we can just say law, contracts, quasi-contracts, delicts, and quasi-delicts. Okay? So, we go through each and every one of them, no? So, the first source of obligation is the law, okay? So, in Article 1158, it says, obligations derived from law are not presumed. Only those expressly determined in this code or in special laws are demandable and shall be regulated by the precepts of the law which establishes them, and as to what has not been foreseen by the provisions of this book. Kaya napakahalaga ng Book 4 ng Civil Code because ang batas, hindi naman yan magko-cover ng lahat ng possible situations. That's why there are some events or circumstances that are not foreseen by the lawmakers. And as to those circumstances, the general provisions of Book 4 of the Civil Code will apply. Okay? So, what is law? Law is a rule of conduct passed by competent authority for common observance and for common benefit. And in the Philippines, yung competent authority natin na yan is Congress. It is Congress that is empowered by the Constitution to pass laws. No? So, an example would be obligation to pay taxes. Siyempre, meron yan under our tax code. Ang obligation ng father and mother to support their family, that is also found under the law, no? So when we say law, okay, we also mean that usually these obligations under the law are not do not need demand, no? So like for example, the obligation to pay taxes. Generally, taxes are payable on or before April 15 of each year. So let's say hindi ka nakabayad on April 15. Hindi na kailangan ng government mag-demand for you to be in delay. The fact that the deadline was set by law, dapat masunod yon. And eventually, remember, the nature of an obligation is that it is a juridical necessity. If the case is parang humaba pa, the BIR may actually file cases in court for the collection of taxes. Okay? Next, we have contracts as the source of an obligation. So, when we say contracts, okay, we mean in Article 1305, sabi doon, contracts are a meeting of the minds between two persons whereby one binds himself with respect to the other to give something or to render some service. So, Sabi natin kanina yung pinakauna nating example, no? Yung sabi natin, kumare mag-meet tayo bukas ng 10 a.m. Is that a contract? No? Actually, it's not. Because as we will learn later on, a contract has three elements, no? Cause, object, and consent. And in that example, walang cause or walang presyo or walang exchange, 'di ba? So it is not actually a contract. So hindi ka pwedeng idemanda ni kumare kapag 10:01 na, wala ka pa, no? So that is the definition of a contract. When we talk of contracts, okay, we also mean that there must be compliance in good faith. Okay? So sabi natin dito sa last part, 'di ba? Obligations arising from contracts should be complied with in good faith. What does this mean? Compliance in good faith means compliance or performance in accordance with the stipulations or terms of the contract or agreement. Of course, sincerity and honesty must be observed to prevent one party from taking unfair advantage over the other. Okay? So, for example, no, si seller, ibebenta niya yung bahay niya, and then B agrees to buy the house of S. Okay? So, that is the meeting of the minds, nagkaroon ng consent. There must be a cost, no? Which is, let's say, the house was sold for 1 million pesos. That will be the cost or the consideration for the contract, and the object is the house that is being sold by the seller. Okay, so yun yung kaniyang mga elements. And of course, S must be willing and voluntarily, dapat ilipat niya yung title sa house kay B. At si B naman, dapat willingly and voluntarily, with sincerity and honesty, pay the 1 million peso price. Okay? So that's what it means when we say there must be compliance in good faith. Okay? Next source of an obligation is a quasi-contract. What does it mean? No? What does a quasi-contract mean? While a contract is a meeting of the minds between two persons, 'di ba? Sabi natin, kaya siya quasi-contract is because there is no meeting of the minds. Quasi-contracts pertain to certain lawful, voluntary, and unilateral acts based on the maxim that no one shall be unjustly benefited at the expense of another. Okay? There are two kinds of quasi-contracts. The first one is what we call negotiorum hestio. When we say negotiorum hestio, it means the voluntary management of the property or affairs of another without the consent or knowledge of the latter. So, ang usual example dito, no, I think lahat ng Oblicon professors, ito ata example. So, let's say X owns a house. And while X is away on vacation, nasunog ang bahay ni X. And Y, being the good neighbor that he is, no, tried to save the house of X from being burned. And in the course of saving the house of X, Y incurred expenses, gumastos siya. So, anong ibig sabihin? May obligation ba si X na i-reimburse si Y for his efforts in trying to save the house of X while X is away? The answer is yes. Na? So, X has the obligation to reimburse Y for the said expenses. Although technically kung iisipin mo, hindi naman nagbigay ng consent si X, 'di ba? Kasi nga umalis siya, nagbakasyon siya. But nonetheless, X must not be unduly enriched at the expense of Y who tried to save his house. Okay? The second kind of quasi-contract is solutio indebiti. What is solutio indebiti? This is the juridical relation which is created when something is received and when there is no right to demand it. But it was unduly delivered by mistake, through mistake. Ang pinaka-example dito palagi ay nasobrahan ng sukli. So for example, nagbayad ka ng 100 pesos for something that is only worth 30 pesos. And nung nagkakasuklian na, no? So ang sukli mo dapat 70 pesos, right? Pero nung nasuklian ka, ang sinukli sa'yo ay 90 pesos na sobrahan ng 20. Okay? Is there an obligation to return the excess 20 pesos to the tindera? Of course, there is an obligation. Again, there is no consent, 'di ba? Hindi naman kayo nag-usap na, sige, isusoli ko yung 20. Wala namang ganon. But of course, hindi pwedeng malugi yung tindera at ma-enrich ng 20 pesos yung bumili because nagkamali ng sukle. So, that is an example of solution indemnity wherein there is delivery through mistake and there is no right to receive the thing that is delivered. Okay? Next, we look at Article 1161. This is a civil obligation arising from criminal offenses. So again, another source of obligation is crime, 'di ba? So acts or omissions punishable by law. Okay? So civil obligations arising from criminal offenses shall be governed by penal laws. Okay? Anong ibig sabihin? Whenever a crime is committed, okay, take note guys that there are two liabilities that generally attach. First is that there is your criminal liability. And when we say criminal liability, ang mga penalties dyan generally ay either imprisonment or fines, no? Magbabayad ka ng multa or makukulong ka, okay? But in addition to that, generally, there are also civil liabilities that attach to criminal liabilities. So oftentimes, the commission of a crime causes not only a moral evil but also material damage. From this principle, the rule has been established that every criminally liable person for an act or omission will also be civilly liable for damages suffered by the aggrieved party. So, and this is found under the revised penal code ha. So for example, an accused was convicted for the crime of arson. Mayroong sadyang pagsunog, arson 'yon, 'di ba? Of course, aside from, let's say, kung makukulong man siya or magbabayad siya ng multa dahil dun sa crime na ginawa niya for his criminal liability, kailangan bayaran din niya yung kanyang nasunog. Okay? So, there is a civil liability in addition to the criminal liability that was incurred by the accused, no? And ano ba yung scope ng civil liability na babayaran nitong si accused? Okay? The extent of the civil liability for damages under the revised penal code. Sabi, ang kasama dyan ay restitution. So, ano yung restitution? Papalitan or ibabalik yung bagay na nasira. Okay? There can also be reparation for the damage cost, which means babayaran, no? Yung damage na cause nung accused. And of course, there will be indemnification for consequential damages. Okay? So yan ang scope of civil liability. And the last source of obligation is the obligation derived from quasi-delicts. It shall be governed by provisions in Title 17 of Book 4 of the Civil Code. When we say quasi-delicts, ano ba tong mga to? So when we say delict, yun yung crime, di ba? These are acts or omissions expressly punishable under the law. Pero pag sinabi nating quasi-delict, walang batas na nagpaparusa sa mga ito. But nonetheless, it causes damage to another person. So it's an act or omission by a person which causes damage to another in his person, property, or rights, giving rise to an obligation to pay for the damage done. There being fault or negligence, so wala kang crime ha, but there is fault or negligence, but there is no pre-existing contractual relation between the parties. So ano yung mga elements niya? There is an act or omission. There is fault or negligence. Pangatlo, may damage na na-cause doon sa iyong other party. Number 4, there must be a direct relation or connection of cause and effect between the act or omission and the damage, no? Dapat direct yung relation. Yung ginawa mo yun yung nakadamage. And last, there is no pre-existing contractual relation between the parties. O ano ang laging example dito ng mga law professors? Halimbawa, nakatira ka sa second floor ng bahay. Tapos, kumakain ka ng saging. At walang kaano-ano tungkol sa iyong there being fault or negligence, anong ginawa mo? Tinapon mo yung balat ng saging over the balcony. Ngayon, itong si Pedro dumadaan, natapakan yung balat ng saging, nadulas, nabagok. O, nasugatan lang, di naman natuluyan. Okay? So, si Pedro, sustained injury because natapakan niya yung balat ng saging na tinapon mo dyan. 'Di ba? Ngayon, do you have an obligation to pay, no, Pedro, for the damages and injuries caused because of your negligence? The answer is yes. You will have an obligation. Okay? So those are the sources of obligation. Okay, so now we go to the nature and effects of obligations. In Article 1163, it says, no, kapag nagkaroon ka ng obligation, ano yung mga kasama niyang kailangan mo to keep in mind? Okay? Take note that every person obliged to give something is also obliged to take care of it with the proper diligence of a good father of a family, unless the law or the stipulation of the parties requires another standard of care. Okay? So, take note that this provision refers to an obligation to deliver a specific or a determinate thing. Ano bang mga klase ng things na pwedeng i-give, di ba? To give, to do, or not to do. So, what are the things that you can give? When we say that a thing is specific or determinate, it means that it is particularly designated or physically segregated from others of the same kind and class. So, ibig sabihin, ito yon, ito lang siya. It can be designated or physically segregated. So let's say ang iyong obligation is to give a Toyota, ano ba nga, Toyota Vios, no? Which is my car. Hindi, Toyota Vios lang in general. Is that a specific or is that a generic thing? That is a generic thing, no? Because that is, well, basically you can give any Vios. Ni wala pang ang specification as to color, di ba? So you can give any Vios. It is a generic thing. But if you say, I will give you my Toyota Vios with plate number ABC123. Oh, edi that is an obligation to give a specific or determinate thing because the Toyota Vios is particularly designated already. Alam mo na ito yung Toyota Vios na ibibigay sa'yo. Okay? So, when the thing is generic or indeterminate, it only refers to a class or genus to which it pertains and cannot be pointed out with particularity. Gaya nga nung sabi natin kanina, when you say any Toyota Vios, di ba? Or just a Toyota Vios, kahit anong Toyota Vios, pwede dyan. Right? What separates a specific thing and generic thing is that the determinate thing is identified by its individuality. The debtor cannot substitute another, no? Although the latter is of the same kind and quality without the consent of the creditor. So let's say if I'm going to deliver to you my Toyota Vios with plate number ABC 123, I cannot give another Toyota Vios with plate number XYZ 123. Ibang kotse na yon. And that is not what I was obliged to do, 'di ba? My obligation was to give the Toyota Vios with plate number ABC 123, okay? And secondly, no, what distinguishes a specific thing and generic thing would be a generic thing is identified only by its species or genus. The debtor can give anything of the same class as long as it is one of the same kind. Okay? When we talk of the duties of a debtor in an obligation to give a determinate thing, later, no, makikita pa natin sa iba't ibang provision later. But to give the enumeration as to what are the duties of a person who is obliged to give a determinate thing. Number one, sabi natin dito sa provision na ito mismo, the debtor must take care of it with the proper diligence of a good father of a family. Of course, the exception is unless the stipulation, unless the law specifies otherwise or the parties made another stipulation as to what will be the standard of care to be given by the debtor. Okay? Next, of course, is dapat i-deliver ni debtor yung thing. The debtor is obliged to deliver the thing itself. Okay? The debtor is also required to deliver the accessions and accessories, although nothing is mentioned in the contract. So we will discuss that later. And of course, the last obligation of the debtor is to answer for damages in case of non-fulfillment or breach of obligation. Okay? So when we talk of um, diligence of a good father of a family, it means ordinary diligence or that degree of care which a prudent person will exercise in the care of his own property na para bang sa'yo yung property na yon. And which degree of care depends upon the nature of the obligation, the object, the circumstances of person, time, and place. So example, sabi ni A, i-deliver ko sa'yo ang aking dog on December 20. December 17 pa lang ngayon. So, before this date, A has the obligation to take care of the dog with the degree of care as though A has never promised to deliver it to anyone. Siyempre, papaliguan niya yung aso, papakainin niya yung aso, di ba? And if A fails to do so and the dog dies before A could deliver, A shall be liable for damages to B because the death of the dog resulted in A's failure to take care of the dog with ordinary diligence. So that's what diligence of a good father of a family means, no? Medyo sexist, pero sige. Kasi 1950 pa naman tong civil code na to, no? New civil code, okay? Next, we go to 1164. Sabi natin, one of the obligations of a debtor is to deliver the fruits of the thing from the time the obligation to deliver it arises. However, he shall acquire no real right over it until the same has been delivered. Okay, first and foremost, let's define what is the meaning. Teka lang, bakit ayaw ng aking cursor? Ayun. What is real right, 'di ba? Sabi dito, he shall acquire no real right over it. The creditor will not acquire no real right over the fruits until the same has been delivered. When we say real right, this is synonymous with the term ownership. Ikaw na yung may-ari. You have a real right over the thing, no? So, um, when we say the creditor has the right to the fruits, 'di ba? We also need to determine what are the different kinds of fruits. Actually, we have three. First, we have natural fruits, which are the spontaneous products of the soil and the young and other products of animals. So let's say yung mga piglets when it comes to pigs, or let's say the fruits coming from fruit-bearing trees, no? The second kind of fruits would be industrial fruits, which are those produced by lands of any kind through cultivation of labor. So example would be palay, 'di ba? Kasi these are produced by lands through the cultivation or labor. And third, we have civil fruits, which are those derived by virtue of a juridical relation. Example, interest sa pautang. Also, rents from buildings or residential houses, no? Sabi natin, the creditor is only entitled to the fruits from the time the obligation to deliver it arises. So, ang question, kailan ba yung time to deliver arises? When does the obligation to deliver arises? So, generally, the obligation to deliver the thing due and consequently, of course, the fruits also arises from the time of the perfection of the contract. Generally, ha? Unless, of course, nag-specify ng ibang delivery date ang mga parties. Okay? So that is also subject to stipulation of the parties. It's also possible that the obligation is subject to a suspensive condition or period. Kagaya nung sabi natin kanina dun sa example sa dog. It's December 17 today, but the obligation to deliver arises only on December 20 because the parties agreed that it will only be on December 20. So, parang may suspensive period. Okay? So, in obligation that is arising from law, quasi-contracts, delicts, and quasi-delicts, of course, it is determined. Now, the time to deliver is determined by the specific provision of the law applicable. Okay? So, balik lang tayo doon sa kanina. Sabi natin, we talk about real right and personal right. Okay? When we talk of real right, sabi natin it is synonymous to ownership. Okay? This is the right or interest of a person over a specific thing without a definite passive subject against whom the right may be personally enforced. Kasi, 'di ba, wala ngang definite passive subject. Ibig sabihin kung ako ang may-ari ng Toyota Vios na ito with plate number ABC123, kahit against kanino, kahit sinong lumapit sa akin, kahit sinong kausap ko, ako ang may-ari ng Toyota Vios na ito because I have a real right over this thing. When we say personal right, this is the right or power of a person, of course, this is the creditor, to demand from another as a definite passive subject the fulfillment of the latter's obligation to give, to do, or not to do. So, kanina sa example natin, kung may utang si A kay B, si B may personal right na sumingil kay A. Hindi pwedeng singilin ni B si C kasi yung right niya is personal as against a definite passive subject, which is A. Si A lang yon. Okay? So, ayan, na-explain na pala natin yung personal right and real right. Okay? So, when we say personal right, sabi nga natin, there is a definite active subject. When there is a real right, there is no definite passive subject. Okay? Therefore, a personal right is only binding and enforceable against a particular person. Yung kung kanino ka lang pwede mag-demand. Whereas, a real right is directed against the whole world. Okay? Okay. Now we go to 1165, which is, no, when what is to be delivered is a determinate thing. The creditor, in addition to the right granted him by Article 1170, may compel the debtor to make the delivery. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, this person or this creditor has the right to demand specific performance. Okay? Kung determinate thing ang involved. If the thing is indeterminate or generic, he may ask that the obligation be complied with at the expense of the debtor. Okay? So kahit hindi mo pilitin si debtor, pwede mong ipagawa sa iba, okay? But it will be complied with at the expense of the debtor. Okay? If the obligor delays or has promised to deliver the same thing to two or more persons, nako, hindi siya loyal, no? Ito na yung sinasabi nating walang sincerity and honesty, di ba? Who do not have the same interest, he shall be responsible for any fortuitous event until he has effected the delivery. Okay? So, this provision talks about the remedies of a creditor in a real obligation, in an obligation to give. Ang sinasabi natin, yung real obligation is an obligation to deliver a determinate thing, specific real obligation. Pag generic real obligation, it's an obligation to deliver a generic thing. Okay? So, when the obligation is to deliver a determinate thing, ano ang mga remedy ng debtors? Demand specific performance. Kailangan ibigay mo sa akin yan. Kasi siya lang ang makakapagbigay. Isa lang yung determinate thing 'di ba? Or B, demand rescission or cancellation with right to recover for damages. And C, demand payment of damages only. So whether it's A, B, or C, laging may damages ha. Kasi hindi nakapag-deliver si si debtor rather, no? But if the example is falls under the second paragraph, which is a generic real obligation, ano ang mangyayari? The creditor may ask another person or a third person since the object is expressed only as to its family or genus. So, example, ang obligation is to deliver a Toyota Vios. Okay? So, kahit na ano pang Toyota Vios yan, pwede. Therefore, a third person can deliver it. 'Di ba? However, in any case, the creditor has the right to recover damages. Okay? Kapag salawahan si obligor, anong mangyayari? No? Fortuitous event will not excuse the debtor from complying with his obligation. Okay? When we say a fortuitous event, this is an unforeseen event, no, outside the control of a person, which we shall expound on later, no, yung dun sa conditional obligations. Okay? So, next, no, when we talk of delivery also or giving of a determinate thing, it includes the delivery of all the accessions and accessories, even though they may not have been mentioned. What is the meaning of accessions and accessories, and how do we distinguish the two? When we say accessions, they are the fruits of a thing or additions or improvements upon a thing, or the right pertaining to the owner of a thing over its products and whatever is incorporated or attached thereto, either or um, artificially. Okay? So, example nito would be house or trees on a land. So, let's say may binenta kang lupa, hindi naman pwedeng putulin yung mga puno na nandun, no? So, dapat pati yung mga puno na nandun sa lupa na binenta mo, dapat it will also be delivered. Okay? When we say accessories, okay, these are things joined to or included with the principal thing for the latter's embellishment or to make the latter more perfect. Example, nagbenta ka ng painting. Dapat kasama yung frame ng painting. Unless of course, naka-canvas lang talaga siya. But let's say when the buyer saw it and bought it, naka-frame yung painting, dapat pati yung frame isama mo sa pagbenta. Okay? Next, how about if the obligation consists in something of doing or not doing, no? In Article 1167, it talks about that when a person obliged to do something fails to do it, the same shall be executed at his cost. The same rule shall be observed if he does it in contravention of the tenor of the obligation. And furthermore, it may be decreed that what has been poorly done be undone. So, this talks about three situations, no? Number one, the debtor really failed to perform the obligation, no? Hindi niya nagawa yung dapat niyang gawin. Second, the debtor performs an obligation to do but contrary to the terms thereof. So, sabi natin, pinturahan mo yung pader ng pula. Tapos ginawa, pininturahan ng blue. Oh, edi contrary to the terms thereof, right? Or third, the debtor performs the obligation to do but in poor manner. So let's say pinturahan mo yung pader ng pula. Ay pagtingin mo, mapusyaw yung pula, hindi siya bright red like what the creditor wants. So yun yung mga situation contemplated under 1167. What are their remedies? As to the first situation, if the debtor fails to comply with the obligation to do, hindi ginawa. Letter A, no? Letter A. The first remedy is to have the obligation be performed by another unless personal considerations are involved. Pinakanta mo, gusto mo yung boses niya, di ba? To do. So, hindi yun magagawa ng iba. But if it can be done by another, because remember, you cannot compel a person to do something because that would be tantamount to involuntary servitude, which is prohibited under our Constitution, di ba? And the second remedy is, of course, to recover damages. Okay? Second, if what has been done was done in contravention of the terms or is poorly done, it may be ordered to be undone. Puro done, no? Done. That it be undone if it is still possible to undo what was done. Okay? So, yan naman ang ating remedies under 1167. Okay? Now we go to 1168. Oh, what if the obligation consists in not doing and the obligor does what has been forbidden him? It shall also be undone at the expense of the debtor. So this one consists of a negative personal obligation. Personal, di ba? Kasi to do. Pero negative. So, ibig sabihin, to not do. So, it's a negative personal obligation. Okay? Remember, the obligation of the debtor is to abstain from doing something. So, hindi mo pwedeng gawin na mag-demand ka ng specific performance, di ba? And take note ha, there can be no delay in a negative personal obligation. Kasi nga hindi niya gagawin eh, 'di ba? The very obligation is fulfilled in not doing what is forbidden. So as a rule, the remedy of the obligee is the undoing of the forbidden thing plus damages. Okay? All right. So now we go to 1169, which is one of the more important provisions in oblicon, which is delay, 'di ba? What is delay? Diba? Take note, those obliged to deliver or to do something incur delay from the time the obligee judicially or extrajudicially demands from them the fulfillment of the obligation. So, if you look at this first sentence, diba, it would appear that the general rule is no demand, no delay. Kasi you are incurring delay from the time that the obligee judicially or extrajudicially demands the fulfillment. So what is the meaning of delay in law? Okay? When we say delay, this is the failure of a person to perform an obligation on the date specified after a judicial or extrajudicial demand. Hindi naman kailangan pumunta sa court. Kahit yung simple personal demand, okay na yon. No? That will already put the obligee or the obligor, right, rather, the obligor in delay. And there is a failure on the part of the obligor to perform. Di ba sabi natin sa umpisa, there is a failure of the obligor in the performance, no? This is considered a violation of the obligation. Nagka-delay ka, 'di ba? So again ha, the general rule is delay. The general rule is no demand, no delay. And take note pala guys ha, the Latin term for delay is mora, no? When we talk of delay, okay, there are three kinds of delay, 'di ba? When we talk of delay, ano tong mga to? Number one is mora solvendi. This is delay on the part of the debtor to fulfill the obligation. Okay? So, hindi niya nagawa or hindi niya nabigay. Okay? Next is mora accipiendi or delay on the part of the creditor to accept the performance of the obligation. This means Ready na si debtor to perform. But the creditor did not accept, no? There's no timely acceptance of the performance of the obligation. Okay? And third is compensatio mori. Ibig sabihin, there is a reciprocal delay in the on the part of both debtor and creditor. Okay? So, anong effect? The delay of the obligor cancels the delay of the obligee and vice versa. Di ba? Pareho silang delayed eh. And the net result is that there is no actionable default on the part of both parties. Okay? So, ano ba yung requisites ng delay? Going back, there must be three conditions that are present before mora solvendi can exist. There is a failure on the debtor, on the part of the debtor to perform his obligations. Second, there is a demand. Take note, it's not a mere reminder or notice. Ha? There must be a demand made by the creditor upon the debtor to comply with his obligation. Again, the demand can be either judicial or extrajudicial. Ha? And third, there is a failure of the debtor to comply with such demand. Hindi niya nagawa yung demand ng creditor. Okay? Now we go to the effect of the delay. Okay? Ano yung effect ng delay? If it is mora solvendi at hindi nakapag-deliver yung debtor, di ba? Mora solvendi is delay on the part of the debtor, di ba? The debtor will be found guilty of breach or violation of the obligation. And he will be liable to the creditor for damages. Or let's say in case of an obligation to pay money, it's possible that he will be liable for interest. Okay? He will also be liable even for a fortuitous event. No, yung mga unforeseen events that is beyond his control which causes him to not deliver or fulfill his obligation. Magiging liable si debtor for a fortuitous event when the obligation is to determine to deliver a determinate thing. Eh nawala na yung determinate thing eh, 'di ba? Let's say tinamaan ng kidlat yung kabayo. Nako, Diyos ko sa oblikon maraming kabayo ang mamamatay. Okay? Ah, Halimbawa, the obligation is to deliver a horse. Tinamaan ng kidlat. O, the kidlat is a fortuitous event. But if there is already delay, the, uh, by the way, it's a specific horse ha. Kasi kung a horse, eh di kahit anong horse lang pwede. It will not be extinguished by a fortuitous event. But if the obligation consists in delivering a particular horse at tinamaan ng kidlat, and there is already delay, the debtor will still be liable for the fortuitous event. Okay? Take note, if yung kagaya na example natin kanina, you can deliver any horse, di ba? In an obligation to deliver a generic thing, the debtor is not relieved from liability or loss due to a fortuitous event. Okay? Kasi pwede ka pa rin i-compel to deliver a thing of the same kind or you can be held liable for damages. So that's the effect of mora solvendi. Okay? What if it's mora accipiendi? It's the creditor who is now in delay. What happens? The creditor is guilty of breach of the obligation. He will be liable for damages suffered, if any, by the debtor. So let's say, yung kaninang example din natin, no? The obligation is to deliver this specific dog. So, pinakain mo na yung dog, pinapaliguan mo yung dog, 'di ba? And on December 20, hindi ready mag-accept si creditor. Hindi siya ready i-accept yung dog. Eh, alam namang pabayaan mo yung dog, 'di ba? So, you will continue to feed the dog. So, yung mga pinapakain mo sa dog or the cost and expenses of taking care of the dog, pwede mo siyang i-charge sa creditor who is in delay of accepting the obligation. Take note, the creditor also bears the risk of loss of the thing due, and when the obligation is to pay money, of course, the debtor will not be liable for interest. Hindi naman niya kasalanan na nag-delay si creditor. Okay? And last, it's possible also that the debtor may release himself from the obligation by consignation or deposit in court of the thing or the sum due. Okay? So those are the effects kung ito naman ay mora accipiendi. If it's compensation more, okay, sabi natin kanina, delay of the obligor cancels the delay of the obligee and vice versa. So, legally speaking, there is no default or delay on the part of both parties. Okay? So, now we go to the part, now sabi natin, no demand, no delay. However, there are exceptions to this rule. No? So, nandito rin yan. So, sa Article 1169, sabi dito sa second part, however, demand by the creditor shall not be necessary in order that delay may exist. So there's no need for demand. Basta, mako-consider ng in delay ang debtor if these circumstances exist. No? Number one, when the obligation or the law expressly so declare. So the parties can stipulate. No? If you do not deliver the dog by December 20, you are considered in delay without need of demand. Di ba? Minsan nakikita natin yan sa contracts. So ibig sabihin, dispense ang need for demand in order to put the debtor in delay. Okay? When the law expressly so declares, so sabi natin kanina, the need to pay taxes on or before April 15. 'Di ba? Pag hindi ka nakabayad ng April 15, ay may interest na yan agad according to the tax code. Okay? So, no need for demand when the obligation or the law expressly so declares. Okay? Next, when from the nature and the circumstances of the obligation, it appears that the designation of the time when the thing is to be delivered or the service to be rendered was a controlling motive for the establishment of the contract. So, anong usual example dito ng lahat ng oblicon professors? Ang traje de boda, no? Yung wedding dress. Let's say the wedding is scheduled on December 20 na rin para tayo ay consistent, no? There is a wedding that is scheduled on December 20. Okay? Nagpagawa ng wedding gown. Okay? And the seamstress or the designer, no, delivered the gown on December 21. Haanuhin pa yun? Ang wedding ay December 20. So this provision is what we call when time is of the essence, 'di ba? Dapat na-deliver yung wedding gown noong December 20. Siyempre, tatanungin naman 'yun nung gumawa, nung nagpatahe, 'di ba? Kailan ang wedding? Sa December 20. So, yan, hindi siya pwede mag-deliver beyond that date. Magkakaroon na ng delay kahit na hindi nag-demand yung bride, no? Malamang hindi na rin siya makapag-demand kasi umiiyak na siya, wala siyang wedding gown. So, ano, there is already delay without need of demand. Okay? So next, when demand would be useless as when the obligor has rendered it beyond his power to perform. Okay? So ano yung ibig sabihin nito? Okay? So like yung kanina, let's say the dog, today is December 17, no? And we have to deliver a dog on, or a specific dog on December 20. Well, if pinabayaan natin yung dog and the dog dies on December 19, does the creditor need to wait until December 20 to demand? Siyempre, hindi na. Kasi demand would be useless. Dead na ang dog, right? Because the obligor has rendered it beyond his or her power to perform. Okay? So, demand would be useless. Talagang ano na yan, may damages na. Okay? Here, no, it's not labeled as number 4, but as you can see, no, dito, meron ding exception, no, to the demand rule. In reciprocal obligations, neither party incurs in delay if the other does not comply or is not ready to comply in a proper manner with what is incumbent upon him. From the moment one of the parties fulfills his obligation, delay by the other begin. Ano ang pinaka-example ng isang reciprocal obligation? Ang pinaka-example ng reciprocal obligation is a contract of sale. Bakit? Let's say you are selling a pen for 10 pesos, 'di ba? Bakit siya reciprocal? Because the seller has the obligation to give the pen, deliver the pen to the buyer. And the buyer has the obligation to pay the 10 pesos, no? Ito sinasabi natin kaliwaan sila, right? Neither of them will incur delay. Kung si seller hindi pa niya binibigay ang pen, or si buyer, hindi pa niya binibigay ang 10 pesos. Neither party will incur delay. However, take note, from the moment that one of the parties fulfills his obligation, delay by the other already begins. So once magbigay na si seller ng pen at hindi magbayad si buyer, in delay na si buyer. Baliktad, nagbayad na si buyer ng 10 pesos, pero hindi pa nagbibigay ng pen si seller. Delayed na si seller. Okay? So, those are the rules on delay. General rules on delay. Okay? Alright. Now we go to 1170. What does this mean? Sabi ng Civil Code, those who in the performance of their obligations are guilty of fraud, negligence or delay, and those who in any manner contravene the tenor thereof, liable yan for damages. Okay? So, Article 1170 talks about the grounds for the award of damages. Okay? So, when we look at the possible causes, no, or the grounds why damages will be awarded, we have four. Number one is fraud. Second is negligence. Third is delay, which we already discussed. And number four, those who in any manner contravene the tenor thereof. When we say fraud, it is the deliberate or intentional evasion of the normal fulfillment of an obligation. So, let's say, no, your obligation is to deliver, let's say, matibay, world-renowned racehorse, o, di ba? Tapos, ang dineliver, kamukha lang ni matibay na horse, pero yun pala, deep inside, may sakit yung horse na yon, 'di ba? There is fraud because there is intentional evasion of the normal fulfillment, 'di ba? As a ground for damages, it implies some kind of malice or dishonesty. Aba, pinalitan mo ba naman yung world-renowned racehorse ng isang horse na may sakit, kamukha lang, 'di ba? So, there is an intentional evasion to comply with your obligation. Okay? Next, by the way, there should be a note here that 1170 refers to incidental fraud, no? When we say incidental fraud, 'di ba? It is fraud in the performance of a pre-existing obligation. It is a deliberate act to evade the proper performance of the obligation. We are not referring to a causal fraud, C-A-U-S-A-L, causal fraud, which is a fraud committed before or at the time of the perfection of the contract. Because that one is a vice for consent, 'di ba? Hindi ka naman papayag kung alam mong may lokohan 'di ba? So this one in 1170 talks about incidental fraud. Okay? Next, we have negligence, fault or culpa. It is any voluntary act or omission, there being no bad faith or malice. Okay? However, it prevents the normal fulfillment of the obligation. Okay? So, there, of course, sabi natin, when you perform an obligation, di ba, it must be performed with due care. Okay? Delay we have already discussed. And the last ground for the award of damages would be contravention of the terms of the obligation. This is violation of the terms and conditions stipulated in the contract without justifiable excuse or reason. Okay? Next, no, we talk about the responsibility arising from fraud. Take note, guys, it is demandable in all obligations, and any waiver of and any action for future fraud is void. Bakit ka magwe-waive ng action for future fraud? Parang sinasabi mong, okay lang, sige, lokohin mo ako. Di ba? Hindi ganun yun. Of course, the law doesn't look at the situation that way. Okay? So, responsibility arising from fraud can be demanded with respect to all kinds of obligations. Okay? So, waiver of action for future fraud is void. Okay? Because this is against the law and public policy, 'di ba? Kung pwede lang 'yan, edi it would encourage the perpetration of fraud because the obligor knows that even if he should commit fraud, hindi naman siya magiging liable, okay? However, please take note that waiver of action for past fraud is valid because this waiver of previous fraud, no, and with knowledge by the aggrieved party is considered forgiveness. Parang generous na lang siya, pinatawad na niya yung fraud na nakomit against him or her. Okay? In 1172, it says responsibility arising from negligence in the performance of every kind of obligation is also demandable. But the liability may be regulated by the courts according to the circumstances. Bakit? The courts are given wide discretion in fixing the measure of damages because negligence is a question which must necessarily depend upon the circumstances of each particular case. Hindi siya sinasadya, 'di ba? However, this person lacks skill or foresight, no, that he was negligent enough na hindi niya naisip na maging ganun ang consequence or mag-cause ng injury or damage to another yung kanyang action. Okay? Kung kanina, there can be no valid waiver of future fraud, can there be a valid waiver of action arising from negligence? The answer is yes, no? So an action for future negligence may be renounced except when the nature of the obligation requires the exercise of extraordinary diligence. No? So, pwede yon, pwede kang mag-waiver ng future negligence. Okay? Take note ha, mas malala ang dishonesty. Kasi parang sa fraud, because fraud already implies the parang presence of malice or bad faith. However, negligence, talagang nagkulang ka lang sa foresight. Okay? Next, 1173. The fault or negligence of the obligor consists in the omission of that of the diligence rather, which is required by the nature of the obligation and corresponds with the circumstances of the persons, of the time, and of the place. No? So, we consider here, no, in determining the issue of negligence, ano yung mga pwede nating i-consider? The nature of the obligation. Example, the driver of a truck ng gasolina na flammable, dapat alam niya sa sarili niya, hindi siya maninigarilyo. 'Di ba? Kasi yung nature ng obligation niya na ang kanyang kinikerry ay mga flammable materials eh. So, dapat hindi siya maninigarilyo. Okay? We can also consider the circumstances of the person. So, like for example, a security guard na bata, malusog, no, of the appropriate age, nakatulog habang nagbabantay versus a security guard who is already, let's say, 60 years old, senior citizen na, nakatulog habang nagbabantay. Of course, both of them are required to be on alert, no, kapag sila ay nagwo-work. Pero siguro, we will give more leniency to the security guard who is already 60 years old as compared to one who is young and strong and agile, 'di ba? Mas guilty siya ng negligence. Okay? We also consider the circumstances of time and place. Example siguro ng time, 'di ba? Ang kotse nagbubukas ng ilaw sa gabi. 'di ba? As compared to, hindi ka naman magbubukas ng ilaw sa umaga, 'di ba? So, those are examples of the things to be considered when determining the fault or damages for negligence. Okay? Take note, guys, if the law or contract does not state the diligence which is to be observed in the performance, that which is expected of a good father of a family shall be required. So, this talks of ordinary diligence pa rin. Okay? Except in cases, in 1174, ha? Except in cases expressly specified by law, or when it is otherwise declared by stipulation, or when the nature of the obligation requires the assumption of risk, no person, ito napakahalaga nito, no person, kasi lagi itong depensa no? No person shall be responsible for those events which could not be seen, which could not be foreseen, or which though foreseen were inevitable. Okay? So, sabi natin dito, this is actually the description or definition of a fortuitous event. A fortuitous event is any event which cannot be foreseen or which, if foreseen, is inevitable, no? Hindi mo siya ma-predict or kung ma-predict mo man siya, you cannot avoid it. Okay? The essence of the fortuitous event consists of being kumbaga it happens independent of the will of the debtor, and which happening makes the normal fulfillment of the obligation impossible. Okay? So, kagaya natin, sinabi natin kanina, of course, I think the example we gave earlier was nakidlatan yung kabayo, no? So, when we talk of fortuitous events, no, it can be either an act of man or it can be an act of God, no? When we say act of man, so there is war, there is fire, there is robbery, murder, or there is pandemic, that is a work of man, no? If it's an act of God, it's also called force majeure, like earthquake, pumutok ang bulkan, flood, ano ba, lightning, yung kanina, di ba? So, those are the kinds of fortuitous events. Also, we talk of fortuitous events which can be ordinary or extraordinary. When we say ordinary, these are events that can be reasonably foreseen. Example, uulan bukas, may forecast na nga ang pag-asa na babagyo, 'di ba? So although we do not have control over it and it is inevitable, nonetheless, it is an ordinary fortuitous event. Okay? We talk also of extraordinary fortuitous events, kagaya nga ng lindol, sunog, war, baha, pagputok ng bulkan, no? So, looking at this, okay, what are the requisites of a fortuitous event? So, dito na tayo. Kinds and requisites of fortuitous events. Sabi natin, sorry. Ayan, wrong grammar tuloy. Fortuitous event. Okay, number one, the event must be independent of the will of the human or of the debtor. And the second, the event could not be foreseen if foreseen, the event is inevitable. Third, the event must be of such a character as to render it impossible for the debtor to comply with the obligation in a normal manner. And of course, number four, the debtor must be free from any participation in or the aggravation of the injury to the creditor. That is, dapat walang concurring negligence on his part. So, for example, no, the obligation is to deliver a particular horse, a specific horse. At alam mo na may paparating na thunderstorm. At iniwan mo pa yung horse sa labas. Siguro dapat yung horse pinasok mo na sa loob ng stable, 'di ba? Para hindi siya tamaan ng kidlat. Iniwan mo sa labas. So, are you still liable kahit na fortuitous event yun, tinamaan ng kidlat yung kabayo? The answer is yes. Because there is concurring negligence on the part of the debtor. Okay? So, kailan magiging liable pa rin ang debtor for fortuitous event. Remember, the rule in 1174 is that no person shall be responsible, di ba? However, excuse, the first part talks about cases wherein the debtor will still be liable. So number one, when specified by law, 'di ba? Like in the case of insurance, o 'di ba? Ano naman di ka magbayad, eh yun nga yung contract no na you are being insured for unforeseen events. O di pag nangyari yung unforeseen event, let's say nawala yung maleta, 'di ba, for travel insurance, ay di magbabayad pa rin si insurer. Okay? Or when it is declared by stipulation, no? The parties agreed. Or when the nature of the obligation requires the assumption of risk. The person or the obligor will still be liable for a fortuitous event. Okay? Next, we talk of usurious transactions. What are these? No, so when we talk of usurious transactions, these are pertaining to excuse, receiving of interest in excess of the amount allowed by law for the loan or use of money, goods, chattels, or credits. Ibig sabihin, sobra-sobra yung interest na pinapatong. No? So, these are governed by special laws. Ha? So, hindi na natin kailangan i-take up sa ngayon. Okay? Next, ito, 1176 talks about a presumption, okay, or presumptions. In 1176, the receipt of the principal by the creditor without reservation with respect to the interest shall give rise to the presumption that the interest has been paid. Example, o yun nga, umutang si A kay B ng 2,000 pesos. No? We'll keep using the same examples as much as we can para tanda nyo lang yung facts. Okay? So, umutang si A kay B ng 2,000 pesos. May 10% interest, which is 200 pesos, 'di ba? Kapag tinanggap ni creditor yung bayad na 2,000 at hindi niya sinabi para saan 'yon. Okay? Then there is a presumption na bayad na pati yung interest. Eh tinanggap ni creditor yung principal eh. Okay, receive the principal of 2,000 pesos. There is a presumption that the interest was also paid. Okay? Receipt of latter installments for a debt without reservation as to prior installments shall also raise the presumption that such installments have been paid. So let's say meron kang babayarang installment, kumuha ka ng motor, no? May January, February, March, April, May, no? At nabigyan ka ng resibo for May installment, ibig sabihin may presumption that the previous months have also been paid. Hey, does this mean this is the truth and the absolute truth? Of course not. May dalawang klase ng presumption. There are two kinds of presumption. Number one, we have the conclusive presumption, that which is never contradicted. It cannot be contradicted. Example, in Article 3 of the Civil Code, we have the presumption that everyone knows what the law is because ignorance of the law excuses no one from compliance therewith. But we also have what we call the disputable or rebuttable presumption or what we call prima facie presumption. Okay? This is one which can be contradicted or rebutted by presenting proof to the contrary. No? So halimbawa, doon sa unang paragraph, nagbayad ka na ng principal, pero na-prove ni creditor na hindi mo pa binayaran yung interest, pwede ka pang singilin. No, same, no? Dito may resibo for the May installment, pero na-prove ni creditor na hindi mo pa bayad yung March at April installment. O, edi, pwede ka pang singilin. So, the presumptions in 1176 are only disputable or rebuttable presumptions. Okay? So, yan sila. When do the presumptions in 1176, when should 1176 not apply? Okay? These presumptions do not apply when there is reservation as to interest. So, in-indicate doon na hindi pa bayad yung interest. There is receipt without indication of a particular installment. Oh, hindi naman sinabi na para sa May yan. O basta nag-receive lang ng installment. There is no presumption na the previous installments or the previous month's installments are also paid. No? Of course, it does not apply to payment of taxes. No? Taxes are a special variety talaga. Just because you paid your tax for 2025 does not mean or does not raise the presumption that you paid your taxes for 2024 and earlier. Okay? Now we go to Article 1177 or last two provisions under this chapter. Okay? The creditors, after having pursued the property in possession of the debtor to satisfy their claims, ano pang pwede nilang gawin? They may exercise all the rights and bring all the actions of the latter for the same purpose, save those which are inherent in his person. They may also impugn the acts which the debtor may have done to defraud them. So, this article is actually talking about the remedies of the creditor against the debtor in case hindi siya mag-comply sa kanyang obligation at ubos na ang kanyang properties. Okay? So, anong mga pwede niyang gawin? Number one, pursue the leviable property of the debtor. No? Kung wala talaga, anong gagawin niya? Pwede siya mag-exercise ng rights of the debtor. Like for example, no, later on when we have partnership, 'di ba? Pwede niyang habulin yung property ng debtor na yun. Hindi lang pwede ipa-attach, pero pwede niyang habulin. Or halimbawa, meron ding mga pautang si debtor, pwedeng si creditor ang mangolekta ng mga pautang ni debtor. Okay? Except, ang hindi lang niya pwedeng gawin is yung mga inherent or personal to the debtor. Example, the right to vote. No? Di vote buying na yon. Pag sinabi niya, oh, hindi ka nakabayad ng utang sa akin, ako nang boboto para sa'yo. O, di ba, vote buying yun. Bawal yon. Okay? Or, another remedy that the creditor may do is to ask the court to rescind or impugn acts or contracts which the debtor may have done to defraud him. Example, no, the debtor, well, quote unquote, no, sold his properties para hindi mabenta or hindi mahabol ni creditor rather. So, and it's obvious that these properties as they were being sold off by the debtor, no, are being done to defraud the creditor. So what can the creditor do? Actually, the creditor can ask the courts to void or rescind the contracts entered into by the debtor which are done to defraud the creditor. Okay? So, para makuha pa rin niya yung claim niya. Okay? So, those are the remedies available to creditors for the satisfaction of their claims. And as you can see, no, it's very general. Kasi nga, there are special rules in other titles that would apply, no, more specifically to specific situations. Pero kung walang ganong rule, no, hindi naman kasi yan bolang kristal na nakita ng Congress lahat ng possible situations, 1177 can still apply. Okay? In 1178, it talks about the transmissibility of rights. No? Subject to the laws, all rights acquired in virtue of an obligation are transmissible if there is no stipulation to the contrary. No? So, ibig sabihin, all rights acquired in virtue of an obligation are generally transmissible or assignable. So, except lang, no, when there is a prohibition by law or if there is a prohibition per stipulation of the parties. Dapat sundin natin yun. Okay? And with that, we end the first part of this video lecture in civil law on oblicon. Please watch out for the succeeding portions. And I would like to dedicate this civil law lecture series on business law, particularly to my very first oblicon professor, Attorney Virginia Diaz. She was my oblicon professor in De La Salle University, and she was my very first law professor actually. Thank you, ma'am, for all the learnings. Salamat po, salamat.